Hello, my name is RJ Wellington. I'm the developer of Transformation Dynamics, and I will be your guide through this video. Transformation Dynamics is a philosophy concerned with human evolution. And whenever we have a philosophy of self-growth or self-development or of personal transformation, we have to come up with a few questions. And there are some basic questions that we always ask ourselves, such as, what is reality? Who am I? Why am I here? So these questions have been with us basically since the beginning of mankind, since we know ourselves as thinking beings. And what we know so far about reality is that we do live, we are alive, we live in a reality, we live in a universe. And in some point of this universe, there is a small planet called Earth. And we live in this planet. So in Earth we have cities, we have countries, we have states. But the reality we are concerned about here is the reality behind the curtain, or the reality behind what we see every day. And that will take us to a deeper level of questioning or of hypothesis. And here we'll talk about the transformation dynamics hypothesis. And I want to let you know that we are not in any way trying to form your opinion. This is not a dogma, this is not a creed, and much less the final word. I'm just an explorer, like most of you who are watching this video right now. So this video and the next videos that I will be putting out are just meant to stimulate free thinking and to introduce yourself to my system. So later on in the future, if you want to join me, if you want to work with me, you can make a decision based on what you know. So let's work on this question today on this video, the question of what is reality. Let's start by talking about the things we know. We know that everything in the universe is made of atoms. And what are atoms? They are particles of matter. They are the smallest unit that defines the chemical elements and their isotopes. Every substance, be it solid, liquid, or gas, is made up of atoms. But atoms also subdivide themselves in subatomic particles, which are the protons, neutrons, and electrons. They are all part of an atom. And electrons, which might be the most important part of atom, are responsible for atoms joining together to form the molecules that make up all things and sustains life. Those are called chemical bonds. So everything you see, if you are sitting on a chair right now, you are sitting over a bunch of atoms, forming these atomic bonds and creating the elements that make up the chair. Whatever you see around you is made of this basic element. So that is a good start pointing for us to think about reality behind the curtain, as I said. But if we ask ourselves, what is beyond the subatomic particles that we have found so far? That takes us to this graphic. And to understand life, to understand the universe, and therefore to understand you and consciousness, we have to understand the energy beyond what is visible. In this graphic, for example, you see a breakdown Here I show a body, but you can translate that to anything, to stones, to pieces of wood, to grass, to trees, to animals. Everything has the same composition. So in a body, for example, we have the organs, which are made up of cells, which are made up of molecules, which are made up of atoms, which are made up of waves, as we see soon in this video. And beyond that point, we get into that metaphysical aspect that we will also discuss, which I call the infinite probabilities, the realm of infinite probabilities. And a very smart person, one of the biggest scientific minds that ever lived in this planet, Nikola Tesla, said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Again, energy, frequency, and vibration. He also said, "The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in one decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence." And this is happening right now. There are serious scientists working on non-physical phenomena, on the subatomic world, trying to discover a theory of everything, or how everything is made up, why we exist. And we are moving towards that direction. So if you look again at the graphic on your right, I work with energy healing. And when I work with energy healing, I don't care about organs, about cells, about molecules, because I'm not a physician. I work at the level of energy, at the level of the wave, and the level of infinite probabilities. For example, when I'm working on someone, it doesn't matter the issue, the problem, be it physical, emotional, mental, or relationships, or financial problems. I tune into that last field, the bottom one, the field of infinite probabilities. And what I do is to transport the person energetically into a probability in which the problem never started. We'll be talking more about parallel universes soon, but just keep that in mind. So, in metaphysics, we work at the bottom levels. We don't care about anything else. Again, we are not physicians. We don't care about matter, because matter is made up of something. So we go right to that source, what it is made of. So let's talk about perception. We learn about the atom, the subatomic particles, the structure of reality as we know it. But we must perceive that reality. We must make sense of it. So we know also that we do have 5 senses. We have vision, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Those are the basic, I would call, 3-dimensional senses. We also have 4th-dimensional senses, but that is another lesson. And I think the big question here is, are these senses reliable and accurate? Do you think they are? Do you think that you observe, you see, you hear, you smell, you taste, and you touch reality as it is? Maybe not. Let's talk about vision, for example, the field of vision. This is the electromagnetic spectrum. And as you can see in this graphic, we observe only a very small fraction of the whole range of light. So visible light is a small range. There are many other ranges, and some animals can see into those ranges. People who are psychic are able to access more information, more sensory data, because the hypothesis is we receive 2 million bits of sensory data. Now don't ask me how they got to this hypothesis, if they counted each bit. I don't think so, but that's just a calculation. 2 million bits of sensory data. But the mind, or let's call it the brain, as it is in most human beings, can only process about 40,000 bits of incoming data per second. That is very limited. People who expand their consciousness, either through meditation or through the process I share on transformation dynamics, can increase those ranges. Those are the people that we call sensitive, the people that we call psychics, people with paranormal abilities, people who see ghosts or their departed loved ones. They can access more than these 40,000 bits of information, of incoming data. So continue on perception. We have the 5 senses, and the question is, are they reliable and accurate to translate reality as it is? Which leads us to one of the main philosophical questions ever asked. What is real? What is real?
This isn't real. What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Electrical signals interpreted by our brains. That is reality. That's what we call real. We are interpreting signals all the time. Again, are our senses reliable and accurate? This is a brain, and our brains are interpreting these signals all the time. So you see there the cortexes of the brain, the areas of the brain that are responsible for smell, touch, taste, hearing, and vision. Yes, you see with the back, at the back of your brain. And this perception is made up of an intricate, a complex interchange of electrochemical interactions between neurons, which are the brain cells. So basically we can say that our perception, or the way we see reality, or the reality that we see, is just a neuro-interactive simulation, as they say in the Matrix, in the movie. That's basically what it is. We are not seeing things as they are. We are interpreting signals. We are interpreting sound waves right now as you are listening to me. Those are just sound waves hitting your cortex, the cortex of your brain responsible for hearing. That's all it is. What you're looking at right now is just light being reflected. Again, waves, energy, and your brain interpret those waves as a reality. That's why we have been calling this a neuro-interactive simulation. If we could, just for a moment, get totally out of our brains, and that is possible during astral projection, lucid dreaming, and other practices that we do, that we are able to eliminate the barrier of the brain, we see a whole different reality. We see basically a soup of dancing energy. That's also what some people might call the nirvana experience, which is full consciousness, access to this field of energy. Okay, so far we know that reality is made up of energy in motion. Those are the subatomic particles. We know that our brains perceive a very limited aspect of reality. And what is worst, even a limited perception is tainted somehow. Why? What creates this problem with perception? In metaphysics and in transformation dynamics, which is a form of metaphysics, we say that our expectations, our beliefs, and our moods can limit our perception, can limit what we can see, what we can hear, even what we can smell or touch. So these are three key points that you must be aware of: expectations and beliefs, which automatically create our moods. So let's consider that reality has three aspects, or the nature of reality is composed of three aspects. The first one is general reality, or the canvas, which is basically that quantum soup, that dance of subatomic particles that we can observe only if we move out of the brain, if we move out of the physical mechanism that is very restricted. And that is possible. I've been doing that for centuries, and I have been teaching people how to do that. And you will be surprised how easy it is to get out of that limited brain restriction. So the first aspect is this one. It's just reality at its bottom line, the waves of energy dancing. The second aspect is your personal reality. The first one I call the canvas, open, infinite, unlimited potential is the canvas when it is blank. The second one, your personal reality, is the brush and paint. It's basically your interpretation of life, of people, of facts, events. Is the meaning that you give to whatever comes through your five senses. And these are based on beliefs, concepts, and conditioning. That's how you interpret reality. That's how you perceive your personal reality. And that's why we call it a personal reality, because my personal reality is totally different from yours. My interpretation is totally different from your interpretation. We both can see the same thing. I can love it and you can hate it. It's all based on interpretation. And the third aspect is the everyday reality that we see and we share, which is based on a combination of A and B. General reality, or the canvas, the open field of potential, and your personal interpretation that creates what you see every day. What I see, what you see, what everybody sees. And I call that the artwork, because it is an artwork. If when you go deep into metaphysics, either through transformation dynamics or any other, teachings, which are very good as well, you will see it is an artwork. Even if you call some experiences negative, it doesn't matter. Everything is based on this interpretation that you give to a reality that is limitless, to say the least. So let's look at this graphic here. This is a classic example of interpretation. As you look at that graphic, what do you see? Maybe you have seen this many times before, so it will be easy for you. But there we see, first, using our example here of the three aspects, you see the general reality, which is a canvas, and basically there you see dots. You see black dots in a two-dimensional pattern. You only see two dimensions there. And these dots are made by zeros and ones from a computer screen. That's what it is. So it doesn't have any meaning until you look at that and you interpret that image. Then you may either see a young, attractive woman or an older lady. What do you see? That is your interpretation of the canvas. Again, this is a very simple example. Things go much deeper than that, but let's start from the beginning in an easy way. And the everyday reality would be your final perception, and you agree, yes, it is a young woman or it is an elderly woman. But the interesting thing is that there you see both interposed. There are both potentials there. And in physical reality, or in metaphysical reality, there are many other options. They all come together, and your interpretation separates one from the other. and we will be talking about that soon. So let's go into the transformation dynamic hypothesis, which is just a hypothesis, and again it is open for you to think freely, to have your own opinion. I'm not trying to force anything on you, I don't need that. Okay, one of the most important hypotheses of metaphysics and transformation dynamics is the idea that there are only two elements in the whole universe. By knowing those two elements, you know everything about the universe. You remember what Tesla said about knowing energy. Can you figure out what those two elements are? I will give you 3 seconds. Okay, time is over. The first element of the universe, according to metaphysics, is consciousness. And the second one is energy. That's it. Now you know what the universe is made of. Now you have something interesting to talk in when you go to social interactions. You know the basis, you know the theory of everything. If you look this way, consciousness and energy, that's all there is. There is energy vibrating, and there is consciousness observing and interpreting that vibration. Do you agree? Okay, now the big question. Would reality exist without a consciousness to observe it? Would it? What do you think? If there was no consciousness in the whole universe, would there be a reality? And the second question is, how much impact does consciousness have over the reality we observe? Is it just a matter of perception, or is consciousness molding reality? Well, you'll be surprised to know that many great minds in science, specifically quantum physics, are in favor of the theory of consciousness molding reality. So let's talk a little bit about the quantum physics hypothesis or their theories. And here I will discuss 2 important concepts of quantum physics. One is the so-called observer effect. If you have read anything about quantum physics or even some metaphysical books, you might have heard about the observer effect, which basically says that the act of making a measurement of the electron's path fundamentally changes the outcome of the experience. So you see in the graphic, when someone is not looking or before observation, there is just a wave spread out over space and time. And the time part is very important there. It is not limited to time or space. And in the second part of this graphic, when the person looks, then at the time of the observation, that particle becomes localized as a space-time event. We also call that collapsing the wave. Now, this might blow your mind, but it is possible to be happening right now. Let's say that you are sitting at your desk in your living room, for example. At this moment, your bathroom does not exist as a physical reality because the wave wasn't collapsed. The moment you get up from your chair and walk towards your bathroom, you start collapsing the waves on the way, and whatever you observe is that collapsing of the wave. Then you see a materialized bathroom, but if there was nobody there to observe that bathroom, for example, it probably would not exist. I know that is not easy to conceive for some people, but that's what some scientists are getting into. So we can say, based on this hypothesis, that we are definitely creating our reality every single moment of time. Another concept of quantum physics, of some physicists. When I say quantum physics, I'm not talking about every single scientist, every single physicist. Some have diverging opinions or ideas or even theories. But here we will pay attention also to the many words interpretation, which, according to Wikipedia, implies that all possible alternate histories and futures are real, each representing an actual world or universe. In lay terms, the hypothesis states that there is a very large, perhaps infinite, number of universes, and everything that could possibly have happened in our past but did not has occurred in the past of some other universe or universes. Now that goes deeper into the rabbit hole. So, for example, when I'm working with someone that has some deep past trauma or some very negative past experience, I play with this theory. I do have a process called retro-programming, which is programming the past. And I basically teach this client or this student to go into a parallel, alternate past in which the problem never happens. And you'll be surprised, you will be amazed at how it works. They usually report that they feel like a different person. So, according to quantum theory, to metaphysics, and to transformation dynamics, what they did was actually entering an alternate universe. So that's time travel. We can also call that time travel. And you might be starting to, if you are not used to these concepts, you might be confused. You might be losing your mind somehow. But as Mark Twain said, truth is stranger than fiction, but it is because fiction is obliged to stick to possibilities. Truth isn't. So, again, that's as far as we know. We don't know much. There are a lot more to learn. But what we know is that truth, the truth about reality, the reality that we experience, is very mysterious. There are many things to be discovered. Continuing on the quantum hypothesis theories, we learned that before being observed by consciousness, there comes consciousness again, electrons behave as wave or cloud. Observation or measurement creates a collapse of the wave function. After observation, the electron pops up in a specific location. But could it appear in any other location? Maybe. Here comes another transformation dynamic hypothesis. We start with this question: can reality be no more than a cloud of infinite possibilities and probabilities? And if so, what determines which possibility or probability will be manifested or observed? When I talk to people about these things that I've been talking so far in live workshops, many of them agree with this. It makes sense to most of them. And then they come, finally, there is a moment that they come to this question: what determines which possibility or probability will be manifested or observed in your reality? Okay? And you will have the answer right now. What determines which possibility, probability will be manifested or observed? What determines the reality we experience every day? Is it a random universe? Are we under the influence of external forces that control our lives? What do you think? What you think determines the experiences that you have every day? Your degree of happiness, your degree of health, your degree of wealth, of well-being, the friends that you have, everything about your life. What is responsible for this? Could it be your choices? Well, we are faced with choices all the time, and we cannot escape them. There is no way to escape choices. Even if you say, I'm going to lock myself in a room and stay there for the rest of my life, you made a choice, and you have the consequences of that choice eventually, probably in a few days. And the three most important, and probably the three only choices that we truly have in life is, or are, what to think, how to feel, and how we act, both verbally and physically. Those are three choices you have all the time, and that is the basis of your power. Pay close attention to this. Your choice, your conscious choice, is the basis of your personal power. So again, we are faced with choices all the time. And at some point, also in live workshops or when I'm working with a private coach client, someone might say, hey, I did not choose to be in a job that sucks. I did not choose to take this boring class if they going through school or college. I did not choose to have to put up with this person if they are in a bad relationship, or if they have a boss or a mother-in-law that bothers them. Ad nauseum, they always saying that they did not choose that. But guess what? They did. Because you do have choices, whether you like it or not, whether you want to be responsible for those choices or not, you are responsible for those choices. Let's say I can call you now. I could call you now and invite you to go out tonight. Right there you have three choices. Your world is split in three parallels based on your choices. You have the choice of going out with me, answering my call and accepting to go out with me. You can decide not to go out and stay home, or you can decide to go out with someone else. Each one of these choices will open or will activate a parallel potential universe. You see how things are coming together? Your choices define which parallel reality you jump in the next moment, in the next second, in the next fraction of second. Right now you can decide. You have the choice of turning off this video, of calling me a lunatic, and just stopping to watch this video. That's a choice that you have. But the big question, the $1 million question is, what determines the choices you make? Why you make one choice instead of another? And the answer might be your beliefs, your fears, or social pressure. Those are three elements that define the choices you make. Okay, so let's look at the examples above. Someone who says that he did not choose to be in a job that sucks. He has the choice of leaving that job right now. He can walk up to his boss and say, I'm out of here. That is a choice that he has. But how beliefs play in this game? He might believe that the economy is bad, that it's very hard to find a new job, or because of his age, he will be unable to get employed again. Those are beliefs. Then comes the fears. He's afraid of not being able to provide for his family. He might be afraid of becoming homeless. And there is also social pressure. People will say, are you crazy? Are you going to leave this stable job and risk having your own business, or starting something new, or working for another company? So all these three factors weigh a lot on the choices you make. On fear, again, sometimes a woman who is in a very abusive relationship, she is being abused verbally or emotionally, may be afraid of leaving that relationship, because to her, being divorced is worse than being in that relationship. So she's choosing the less painful option. That's what it is. Our choices are based on the pain versus pleasure principle. And that is very important. So now you know that you do have choices, that your choices determine your personal reality. But, and that is a big but, you'll be surprised to know that there are forces controlling your choices. Yes, we spoke about beliefs, fear, and social pressure. But where these forces come from? Do you truly want to know what these forces are? The forces that might be holding your life. You want to know how they are limiting your life at this point? So again, just to review, you have the power of choice. That's the first step into personal transformation. Before you understand this concept, you understand how reality is made. That reality might be a combination or a quantum soup of different parallel realities waiting to be activated, waves waiting to be collapsed. Once you understand this, and you understand that your choices help you collapse those waves in one way or another, your choices might lead you to a wonderful experience in the next moment, the next minute, or another choice might take you to a terrible experience, can even cost your life. So, are we slaves of energy that we cannot control? I don't think so, and I will prove to you that we are not. I will show you exactly what might be controlling your choices, what might be creating the beliefs that you have, the fears that you have, and why you fall prey to social pressure. So, do you want to know what the matrix truly is? I promise to show you. You'll be basically taking the red pill as you make this decision. So, stay tuned for our next video, and I will show you what the matrix is exactly, truly. Okay? So, to stay tuned with us, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you got to that video, you probably received an email from me, or you logged in one of my websites. And for more information on transformation dynamics, you can visit www.tdcoach.com tdcoach.com, and I will be uploading more videos, and please don't miss the second video on the matrix. And I would rather have you watching these videos even before logging into my website, so you understand who I am, where I come from, and what I'm talking about, and you have a better understanding of what transformation dynamics is. So thank you, and I see you next time.